kids are acting really weird.
They must be working on my surprise.
Oh, well, in that case, we should really leave them alone.
So about a month ago, some viewers of mine recommended to me the topic of Ryan's World the movie. Yeah, remember that YouTube kid? Apparently the film was an absolute failure, costing over $10 million to make, but only making around $620,000 back at the box office. Also, it's incredibly bad.
Come on, Ryan.
Wait, Ryan? I knew I recognized you. You're the unboxing kid on YouTube.
I guess. I do lots of stuff.
But the main thing that caught my attention was how upset people were over Ryan's situation, and how his parents are still putting him in videos front and center. That he's been doing this for 10 years now, and is a teenager, yet his parents won't let him retire and just be a kid. For some people, they even think that Ryan's parents are taking advantage of him to build their own media empire. Now, for those who don't know, Ryan's World is a toy channel, and one of the most popular, if not the most popular, in YouTube history. The family has made millions upon millions upon millions of dollars, and was instrumental in shaping the YouTube landscape for kid videos. But due to their recent movie, they find themselves under fire. And I think our subject today, being Ryan's World the movie, embodies all of the worst aspects of their channel as a brand, as they have also set an example for the more insidious nature of kids' YouTube channels, and why they are in desperate need for regulations. It's Ryan being taken advantage of, and being deprived of a childhood at the expense of his parents making millions of dollars off of him. So let's talk about it, and unfortunately this movie too. Apparently, the family can afford fancy homes in Hawaii, but can't afford acting classes.
Why are you wearing that?
For a damn video. He's gonna pull me out of his hat to stay trending. He's gonna think I look so cool.
This video is brought to you by our pals over at Factor. I dropped my thing. Grocery shopping sucks. I hate it, and I know you do too. Everything from making a grocery list to being around people at the shops. Blech. So I suggest you skip the grocery store line and just get Factor. Factor takes the stress out of meal planning by providing you with nutritious, ready-to-eat meals that are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. It takes all the hassle out of prepping, cooking, and cleaning up. Simply take out the box, heat her up, and stuff your face. And with over 35 different menu options to choose from like keto, calorie smart, and vegan, you can keep your Factor experience flexible to your lifestyle. Don't get caught in the takeout trap. It's so expensive, too expensive. Factor is cheaper, which is great for me because I seriously get caught up in ordering a lot of takeout. I've gotten better, Factor has helped, but that is one of my vices. Factor makes things simpler for me in my busy life. Trust me, I know how it be. You can also discover more than 60 add-ons every week, like breakfast, on-the-go lunch snacks, and beverages. Yummers. So if you're ready to kick the bad habits of expensive dining and inconvenient food prep times, then click that link in the description box down below, or scan the QR code on the screen and use my code SABERNOV50 to get 50% off your first order with free shipping. Again, that's code SABERNOV50. Or just scan the QR code on the screen. Thank you so much to Factor for partnering up with us for this video, and now, back to the video. So how did Ryan's World come to be? How did this kid make more money than most people will ever see in multiple lifetimes? Well, initially, Ryan's World was a pretty simple YouTube concept. He was your standard young kid who loved watching toy unboxings and asked his parents, "How come I'm not on YouTube when all the other kids are?" That's my best kid impression. It's awful. With that, his parents Sean and Loan Kaji started off making videos that were structured more like home movies, taking Ryan to the toy store and having him pick out a new toy to play with and talk about on camera. Ryan was just 3.5 years old at the time of their first video, titled Kid Playing with Toys Lego Duplo Number Train, which was published on March 17th, 2015. During college, Sean had studied how the YouTube algorithm worked and applied this knowledge to attach highly popular search terms to their video. The formula was simple but extremely effective. Within just a year, the original Ryan's Toy Reviews video had gone fully viral, gaining over 7.5 million views by March 2016. With that, their follow-up videos had done so well, with views and ad rev, that both Sean and Loanne were financially stable enough to quit their jobs and work on making YouTube videos full-time. The family hopped on every new kid's YouTube trend and rode the algorithm into total infamy. You name it, they did it. Unboxings, surprise eggs, making slime, the Mentos Challenge, Star Wars, Cars, Legos, Thomas and Friends. The list goes on and on. Now it seems like a dream job for most parents, right? No more drudgery of a boring 9 to 5. Just film your kid opening up new toys, add some decent editing, and upload it to YouTube. And from there, the entire channel had slowly exploded in popularity due to their timing, accessibility, and appeal. Now, before we get deeper into this topic, let's talk about the movie itself, because this was the moment that gave people pause and concern for Ryan and the current state of the family's YouTube channel. By the time this movie was released theatrically on August 16th, 2024, Ryan's World was already a long-running, money-making phenomenon. It has over 30 million subscribers, 1,600 brand deals, video games, 4 seasons of a TV series on Nickelodeon. Good God, that's a lot. Of course it's Nickelodeon. Of course it's Nickelodeon. Make more cartoons, Nick. Nah, it's Ryan's World time. So the next logical step feels like making a movie, right? Yeah, sure, but there is so little material to work with in this movie. The whole thing barely hits the 75-minute mark, and the plot is as formulaic as you'd expect. Also, the acting is as bad as you would expect.
Hey, Mrs. Kaji.
Aiden, is everything okay in there? I heard yelling. Are the kids fighting again? Also, don't you think I look really cool for a new Dan video?
Super cool.
The movie opens with Ryan doing a magic show live stream with his older friends Dan Rhodes, a YouTube famous magician, and Aiden, a compulsive liar. His younger sisters, Emma and Kate, tamper with a prop for the magic show, as they're obviously acting out for attention because they miss playing with him. But Ryan yells at them anyway. Well, to blow off some steam, Ryan and Aiden go to their local comic book store, which is also selling Ryan's surprise egg toys. Also, wherever Ryan goes, there are fans who are like, "Oh my God, you're Ryan from Ryan's World. Let me take my picture with you, please. Hey!" Oh, poor Ryan. I feel so bad for this kid. He looks so confused and lost. Like, outside the movie. I mean, like, actually in his life. Okay, so they manage to finagle their way into the back room by lying to the store clerk named Clark, who is Clark, the store clerk? Sounds like a Dr. Seuss name. Well, Clark here is already well familiar with Ryan's content. So they get into the back room and notice a rare comic of Ryan's self-insert OC superhero, Red Titan. Ryan impulsively decides to buy it, leaving money on the counter as they rush home to read it. However, Ryan gets into a fight with his younger sisters after the girls break into his room and open one of his surprise egg toys to make some kind of like robot doll thing. God, this room is depressing. The only toys he's allowed to play with is his own unopened merchandise. This is torture. So Ryan storms out of the room to vent to Aiden, his older friend who is like either 13 or 30. There's no in between apparently. Meanwhile, the twins get sucked into the comic book with a guilty Ryan following them shortly afterwards in this dazzling visual effect.
What's happening? Huh? Whoa!
Aiden stays in the real world to act as a plot device and fend off questions of Ryan's parents, who are inexplicably dressed like a pink bunny and a wizard, which is just as uncomfortable to watch as it sounds.
Ooh, don't let me interrupt.
In the comic book, Ryan meets a British or maybe Australian kaiju bat monster named Stella, who helps him fend off the attacks of panda robot guards. By the way, this looks like a Digimon, right? They've been sent by the self-obsessed Dark Titan, who has kidnapped Emma and Kate. The twin sisters are stuck in a prison cell with two annoying animal sidekicks. Combo Panda? Who talks like this? He sounds like a teenager going through puberty.
Not fair, Alpha. I stopped talking for hours when I was singing.
And then there's a pink cat lady who I think is named Alpha Lexa, but that name sucks, so I'm calling her Princess Carolyn instead. Emma and Kate have obvious, new adult voice actors trying to sound like children. Doesn't work. It's really noticeable and jarring.
We wanted to get you a Megabot suit, and we just wanted you to play with us again.
Which is weird because Ryan's voice remains the same, so go figure. They use Dark Titan's evil Roomba to knock some prison keys off the wall to break out. Ryan then explores the rest of the fortress with Stella and gets into a lame shoving match with Dark Titan. I get that Dark Titan is supposed to be the villain in this, but he has just as much self-indulgent art and merchandise in his lair as Ryan does in his room at home. So yeah, this comparison is stupid and bad and tone deaf. Stella, the bat, discovers a secret room with a very helpful map showing where the evil people are. So much of Stella's dialogue is her speaking out loud to nobody with no real lip syncing either, so yeah, I guess it is what it is.
Oh man, I wish someone else was around to hear this brilliant sarcasm. JK Universe, what are you mad I didn't check my horoscope today? I was too busy saving you.
What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to?
I'm really glad I went in with low expectations because that's where they have remained so far. Elsewhere, the twins discover they have telepathic powers. Oh, I know it's stupid, just go with it. Ryan manages to fend off Dark Titan with their help as Stella reveals who the true big bad guy of the movie actually is, which is cleverly named the Big Bad. Oh. They just gave up after they got to Act 3, didn't they? This mysterious character has a magical ink pen staff and a volcano powered by Mentos to destroy the entire universe. The big bad takes off his mask to reveal he's Clark. Oh, Clark the comic book store clerk. He created this version of the Red Titan universe to lure Ryan in as a trap, as he blames Ryan for taking his sister's attention away from him by making so many awesome unboxing videos, because Ryan's just that based.
It was all a ruse, you pathetic little ant. For you see, I, the landlord, was the mastermind the entire time. Every single thing that's happened to you over the last 24 hours was orchestrated by me and my insane mind. Yes, all delicately coordinated beforehand using paid actors and animatronics. Yes, all me. The whole thing cost me $750,000 and over 8 months of planning just to lead you right here into the palm of my hands.
Clark notably doesn't blame his parents, who gave her the tablet with presumably uninterrupted access to it, but he blames Ryan specifically for tearing their relationship apart. The other sidekicks hate on Big Bad, basically calling it a skill issue that he did not try hard enough to get her attention back with new games or going outside. And honestly, this feels like the most disgusting clapback message they could have come up with for this awful movie. They're not owning up to any of their own involvement and profiting off of exploiting the short attention spans of kids by making ads as entertainment. This whole movie has such an icky vibe to it with no real sense of self-awareness. And this was probably the worst moment of that for me. It's me, Ryan, the bad guy? No, Clark, I think you're the bad guy. Also, end of discussion. So whatever, Ryan defeats Big Bad with the help of his sisters and this new trio of animal sidekicks, each sold separately. He electrocutes Big Bad during a mech battle and captures the rest of the evildoers in a crate, possibly a loot crate. Ryan uses the positive power of the ink staff into the volcano to make everything more adorable. Ryan and his sisters are finally able to make it back to the real world and are rewarded with a pizza party in the backyard. Like, we never see Clark from the comic book store guy ever again, so presumably he died back in the volcano, or he was imprisoned and never got to see his sister one last time. It's so confusing, but you know what? Who cares? Who cares about that? We have a Chuck E. Cheese sponsored pizza party, damn it, with water balloons and wholesome family fun. I don't care if I have the blood of this Zoomer on my hands. Wouldn't be the first time. Someone's gonna clip that out of context.
That's it. I can't watch anymore. Going in.
So, my overall thoughts. This movie is horrible and absolutely deserved to fail. It is boring. It is a shameless cash grab that barely clocks in over 75 minutes and somehow still manages to overstay its welcome. The animation is at least serviceable, but just looking at it, you know that the production company was given a very low budget for making it. The animation was done by Shin En Animation, a Japanese production company best known for their work on Suzume, Gurren Lagann, and pretty much every Doraemon series and movie in existence. So they can do incredible work on a project that's given the time and budget to really shine. And this obviously wasn't that type of gig for them. Also, for what it's worth, no shame in artists and animators taking this job. Lord knows that the Imperium of Ryan can afford it.
Behold! Only Combo Panda is this good at dancing!
But the dubbing, though, is probably the worst I've seen outside of early episodes of Speed Racer. Any corners that could be cut were absolutely butchered in this movie. They had a budget of $10 million. But with at least 10 product placement deals sprinkled throughout the movie, it feels so cheaply made and insincere. And the box office numbers reflected that, as it only grossed roughly $625,000 and was pulled from theaters after 3 weeks. It was a feature-length, pumped-up commercial, plain and simple. Now, making a bad vanity project movie is one thing, but I think this movie's failure is more telling about what Ryan's World represents as a brand franchise, and how it goes to demonstrate how things got this bad for kidfluencers with a huge social media following, as greedy businesses and brand deals are given more priority than the emotional well-being of the kids being used as talent.
We'll stop all the bad guys together! Yay! Yay!
Alright, so here's a quick little rundown about the history of Ryan's World as a brand. The channel itself, called Ryan's Toy Reviews, grew as a channel because of their accessibility to children using the YouTube Kid app. Now, many Gen Alpha kids like Ryan have been raised with iPads as both learning devices and, as more often than not, distraction machines. The kid won't shut up at the dinner table, just give him an iPad. Rot his brain out, who cares? Ryan's channel became an absolute powerhouse, as following popular trends enabled them to post new videos on a daily basis. This also led to new related channels, so loyal viewers would never run out of content to put on. Their videos have a ton of appeal for young kids, as not only do they get to see new toys getting unboxed and play with, but they get the parasocial feeling of enjoying it with a virtual friend. Somebody who is just as excited and eager to check out something new with them. At the outset, his channel had a very wholesome and approachable quality that felt like a slice of life experience, one of a family sharing the joy of play with a safe, non-threatening vibe. Gradually, this would all come crashing down into something more insidious. Ryan's World is now seen as a product of irresponsible marketing, greed, and lack of privacy. Their videos evolved into a type of marketing called native advertising. Now, you might have heard of this term before, but in case you have not, here's what it means. Instead of a video using a sponsorship, meaning a product that is being mentioned independent of the video's subject matter, a native advertisement is when the video content itself is produced for demonstrating and selling a designated product. And sure, that is what many product review videos are at their core. but only when it's made clear to an adult viewer that the review is being paid for by a company to talk about and endorse their product or service. The problem is when native advertising videos are marketed explicitly to kids. There's a lot of negative moral implications from basing your channel model on selling toys to kids, because many of them are way too young to know when they're being advertised to. We know that Gen Alpha kids are glued to their iPads, but there's an entire generation of children that have literally grown up watching Ryan. 10 years worth of videos having relentless ads marketed towards them as content.
Let's see what this is all about. Oh,
Candace,
wow.
why don't you just unbox this one?
This is better.
Many family YouTube stars and advertisers are quietly aware of this fact, but are able to fully bypass these protective laws against advertising to children that have been in place for mainstream American television since the 1960s. YouTube is gargantuan compared to the available channels on cable, and there's no one-size-fits-all answer for managing it responsibly. Nothing really changes until there's enough tangible proof of foul play to change the status quo. That's why family YouTube channels have now become such a big business for advertisers. They can have the facade of being safe for kids, but shady business practices can adapt a lot faster than YouTube's monitoring system can. Companies are smart and they'll work around laws without sacrificing their bottom line. Kids under 18 generate a ton of money for advertisers on social media, making them $11 billion in 2023 alone. And don't get me wrong, I know kids will always be drawn to the next coveted toy product. I have the Pokemon merchandise to prove that. But what I'm saying is there's definitely a point of responsibility when it comes to providing high-quality content without jeopardizing the safety and privacy of your own children to market it. Many experts have done studies that kids can only truly understand what ads are when they're around 8 to 9 years old. And that's provided they get proper context and supervision from their parents to not believe everything they see. Writer Heidi Bortz of National Geographic magazine wrote an article that lays out the facts plainly. She explains, quote, "Federal agencies regulate advertisements targeted specifically to children and enforce digital privacy laws for kids younger than 13. But children are consuming so much digital content and on platforms like YouTube that aren't required to follow these kid-focused regulations that they're exposed to more ads than ever. In fact, a 2020 report by Michigan Medicine CS Mott Children's Hospital and Common Sense Media found that advertising on YouTube occurred in 95% of the videos that young children were watching." End quote. While doing my research for this video, I came across an incredibly troubling statement from Pocket Watch, the same company that manages the content production and product development for Ryan's World as an industry. On the front page of their website, they proudly state they are, quote, "forging billion-dollar franchises with kids' favorite stars." You know, maybe it's me, but the language used here appears pretty deliberate. Their entire website seems to be catered directly towards potential business partners. Companies and brands that want to be featured on their client's channel are immediately given the relevant stats for what their reach will be before even sending them an email. Each YouTube personality listed has their total subs and overall view count from all videos. So the only real question from advertisers is, who do they want their mascot or brand ambassador to be? Which of these family YouTube channels will give them the best return on investment? Not only is Pocket Watch behind the talent management for Ryan and a number of other kid-centric influencers, but they're also actively involved in both toy development and attracting new companies to license products with them. From the looks of their website, they're working within the legal restrictions of COPPA, or the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, a law that basically states companies are not allowed to harvest the data of kids using websites, and one that restricts ads playing before a video. The residual effects of COPPA have greatly affected running AdSense on specific types of videos on YouTube. Ryan's channel actually got into a ton of hot water regarding violating COPPA restrictions. They were reported to the Federal Trade Commission on August 28, 2019, by Truth in Advertising. nonprofit group that monitors deceptive marketing and shady tactics by companies. This quote from their investigation is very telling to me. Quote, between products and programs promoted in Ryan Toys review videos, 195 out of the 211 examined, 92%, include promotions geared towards children under the age of 5. End quote. You heard that correctly. 92% of the videos the channel posted in a 6-month period featured some kind of blatant product or brand endorsement. So even when the videos featured an extremely brief visual statement of the video having an ad, most of their target audience can't even read yet, making that disclaimer pointless. And when you have 20 million plus subscribers consisting of 3 to 6-year-olds watching your content, yeah, you're going to get in some serious trouble for that. Obviously, Ryan's World wasn't the only channel involved in using this kind of marketing tactic, but they were definitely the most well-known and influential channel to be getting away with it for so long. Truth in Advertising's complaint led to the FTC actually suing YouTube and Google for $170 million for repeatedly violating COPPA mandates. Now, Google may have big pockets as the owners of YouTube, but the bad optics were damaging enough. And in a desperate move for damage control, YouTube went nuclear on November 12, 2019, and started enforcing heavily restrictive requirements for kid-oriented YouTube channels. No comment section, no mini player, no personalized ads, no playlist, no notifications, no community tab, no merch links, nada, nothing. It still doesn't work, obviously, because nothing on YouTube ever does. But their solution of using blanket restrictions also hurt channels that had not violated COPPA, but were punished for it anyway. Hey, I guess you can't win in a system like that. But YouTube is too big to care about those consequences for everybody else involved. And even though the YouTube revenue for Ryan's World was depleted by 70%, it's not like they're hard up for cash. Up to this point, Ryan is still the highest paid child star on YouTube by far. During their peak years, his net earnings from merch sales and monetization ballooned from $22 million in 2018 to nearly $30 million in 2020. Ryan's family now lives in Hawaii, where they can shoot their content and ship it off to editors in Texas. But trying to pivot their channel to newer content as he's gotten older has been a tough learning curve. Ryan's original audience grew up too, and they're really struggling to make videos that resonate with viewers at the same level. To this day, Ryan's World still uploads new videos nearly every day. But as he's gotten older, the views are a fraction of what they used to be. Granted, they still put out hour-long compilations of old videos for additional content, but the videos tend to get higher views when young Ryan is in the thumbnail, and I find that incredibly sad. Even the goddamn algorithm won't let him grow up. From the law side of things, there have been some gradual changes happening in expanding financial protections for child stars. Since 1939, child performers in Hollywood have been given a Coogan account, namely a lawfully binding trust fund that retains 15% of their earnings from any acting roles they take on. This amount is protected from any outside interference until they turn 18 and take over full control of it. But this law only does so much, especially as it's now only a state requirement by California, Illinois, New York, Louisiana, and New Mexico because of their film industry ties. But that has not stopped interest in creating an additional law to combat the rise of kidfluencers. In 2019, an article by Harper Lambert from The Hollywood Reporter directly name-drops Ryan as a person of interest, relating to growing concerns about possible financial abuse, considering just how much money he was earning every year from all the online attention. In it, Sean states that 100% of Ryan's earnings from the Nickelodeon series Ryan's Mystery Playdate go into his Coogan account. For everything else, he claims they go into a number of college funds, minor accounts, trust accounts set aside for Ryan, as well as an additional Coogan account for his sisters. But I don't really buy that. With so many product developments, product placements and videos, and other media and constant features from other Pocket Watch talent, there's a lingering question that bothers me. when is it going to be enough? Since the rise of Ryan's channel and many others like it, a small array of laws have been passed in a handful of states to make sure that child influencers are paid appropriately for their involvement. Illinois was the first state to pass an amendment to their child labor laws on August 16, 2023. It would go into effect the following year, stating that as of July 1, 2024, parents in Illinois will be required to put aside 50% of earnings for a piece of content into a blocked trust fund for the child, based on the percentage of time they're featured in the video. Following that was Minnesota, with the state forbidding children under 14 from appearing in more than 30% of the content on their parents' social media pages. If the parents don't abide by this rule, then 30% of the monetization funds have to go to a protected trust account for the children involved. The law itself won't take effect until 2025, but it's definitely better than nothing. This past September, California signed into law their own children influencer protections, not only expanding protections on the Coogan law, but adding a bill requiring parents to put 30% of content earnings featuring their children into a separate trust account. The road to improvement has been slow and bureaucratic, but at the very least, some states are recognizing how much something needs to be done to protect kids from familial exploitation. This remains an active issue because so many industries actively reward parents who are willing to use their kids for their own financial gains, as their children's privacy is never the first concern. Because if it was, they would not have been pushing their kids into online stardom in the first place. But media franchises made for kids can have their cake and eat it too, if they're self-aware enough to set those limits responsibly from the start. Now, I've joked about this franchise before, but love them or hate them, CoComelon has become a phenomenon for a reason. It just started off as a hobby between a husband and wife, combining both of their artistic abilities to make short videos to entertain their kids. Jay here dabbled in filmmaking, and his wife illustrates children's books. Their kids liked the videos enough that the parents decided to post them onto YouTube to share with the world. The characters and environments all feature CGI characters and relatable lessons that are easy to understand for their target audience. Yeah, their videos are strictly for toddlers, but the overall impact is undeniable. CoComelon still has the third highest ranking sub count of every channel on YouTube, currently sitting at 185 million subscribers. They are the highest ranking kids channel by far, and are only outpaced by Mr. Beast and PewDiePie's arch rival T-Series. God, I feel old and depressed. The CoComelon videos may have originally been made for their children, but Jay has notably kept his wife and their two sons out of the public eye. And yeah, that's definitely the responsible thing to do when you're in charge of a multi-million-dollar entertainment company. Another media series that has similar levels of privacy concerns is one of my personal favorites, Bluey. The show itself is wonderful, with great messages, fun characters, and enough humor to actually entertain kids and their parents alike. But the producers behind Bluey, including creator and showrunner Joe Brum, are extremely mindful of protecting the privacy of the kids who voice their cast of child characters. Many of them are voiced by the actual children of the production staff, and as a result, their identities are deliberately kept private, to not expose them to public scrutiny or harassment. Sure, we know who the actors are for adult characters like Bandit and Chili. By the way, a big shout out to David McCormick and Melanie Zanetti. I met them before the convention, very cool people. But the girls who voice Bluey and Bingo, along with their cousins and classmates, deserve to not have that kind of public attention forced onto them. Because A, they're kids, and B, let's face it, there's a lot of intrusive, creepy weirdos out there who would harass them endlessly and make their lives a living hell. And all child actors deserve better than that. So I'm really grateful for a production staff that puts priority on the safety of their young cast over everything else. From the outside looking in, I really don't see the same level of consideration being applied with Ryan and his sisters. From the start, Ryan became the definitive child star of Gen Alpha. He's not the only one, but he's by far the most notable and most successful example. And like many child stars before him, there is a lingering, uncomfortable vibe that seems to follow their content to me. It doesn't seem like Ryan can really speak for himself or be authentic about how their fame and money has affected him internally. During an interview with Rolling Stone, his father Sean got pretty defensive when it came to questions online regarding how young his son was when Ryan got famous. He stated, quote, "I want to ask them, when would be the ideal age where kids are able to provide full consent? To me, it's beneficial for kids to start early, so they're adapted to this nature of our society." End quote. Oh, yikes! And to that I'd say, hey Sean, beneficial to whom exactly? I'd argue that that part of society has never been normal, even if it's been forcibly normalized by people and industries that make money off of them. We have dozens of examples of child stars through the years who have been exploited by their parents for the sake of financial gain. These are no longer an occasional case study anymore. This is a full-blown pattern that goes way beyond the studio system. And we're getting more concrete examples every year of just how much garbage these kids had to go through to get to that level of fame. Once they grow up, the scars left behind from that amount of public exposure and interpersonal trauma frequently leads to reckless behavior as adults. And I'll admit, there's a handful of people on display here that I'm not crazy about, and their toxic behavior as adults should not be excused. But I can still see them as they originally were, as child stars who never had a chance, or did not have the right people advocating for them when they really needed help the most. People who needed protection from the abusive adults and industries that used and exploited them for their own gain. In conclusion, I may be a filthy, childless millennial, but I also have nieces and nephews that I deeply care about. And if I knew their parents were pushing them into social media stardom, I would tell them to cut it out immediately. As a matter of fact, I have. Now you might think I'm fear-mongering, but I'm really not. I've been on YouTube since the beginning, and I understand what comes with this territory. And I would never encourage somebody to put their kid's safety at risk for the sake of content. The potential damage from that kind of online exposure is very real, especially with the rapid spread of AI being embraced without people thinking twice about who's monitoring their data when using a filter on TikTok or Instagram. Roughly a month ago, I saw a few extremely creepy videos making the rounds on Twitter of baby fashion shows. Obviously, I don't want to talk about the implications of what somebody could do with that technology because, yeah, it's incredibly disgusting to even think about. But I would definitely recommend being cautious about what kind of photos you and your friends or family share online. Ryan has been a social media phenomenon for the entirety of his childhood for over 10 years now. That's a pretty astonishing level of pressure, responsibility, and public scrutiny to put on someone who can't even drive yet. My biggest concern with this point is that I'm really worried about the potential harm that lack of privacy could do to him, emotionally and psychologically. His formative years were dominated by a camera being shoved in his face with no real right to privacy. Can you guys even imagine what that would do to you psychologically? Personally, I'd be shocked if there wasn't some kind of article or tell-all book that comes out once Ryan officially turns 18 in 2029. There have been many child stars before him, and there will likely be many after him, and mostly from the online space. But my hope is that at the very least, more creators going forward will realize that the risk of child stardom are not worth jeopardizing their future over. But hey folks, those are just my overall thoughts. What do you all think? Tell me down below in the comments and I'll see you all next time. Hopefully something can be done before someone like the Rizzler faces a similar fate. Also, we gotta keep him away from Jimmy Fallon. He deserves better than that. Damn it, we all do.
And then you do it all together, and that's how you do the wrist face.
I'm doing the wrist face?
No, like take the...